So let me trying to finish Muktzeh over here, Shin Ches at least, this week. So there are many things that are so not negay for us, but just want to say quickly. There's a whole talk on the Shulchan over here, which is called the Graf Sharia. It's not so much negaya. So let me just tell you what it is negaya. Negaya is that something that's disgusting in the house, you're allowed to, even though it's Muktzeh, you're allowed to pick it up and throw it away. Believe it or not, a dead mouse, the Gemara says, is disgusting. Even times of the Gemara where mice were very common. So a dead mouse is disgusting, and it's not Muktzeh. Gotta pick it up. Believe it, the Chroidim Bar Medayik, a live mouse is not disgusting, and not working.
For
any live, but live mouse is not disgusting. Any live thing is Muktzeh. Is Muktzeh. It's Muktzeh. That's not.
Or something like that.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? You want to pick it up? That's the question.
I've always with an animal there's like an issue of trapping or something like that.
That's something else. We're not talking about trapping. Let's say you have a mice that the trap caught a mice, still alive, caught it by its tail. Okay. I've been asked Shabbos this question. You know, I mean, it does scream. People tell me, that a mouse, when it's caught in the trap, it squeaks, and it does scream. Yeah. So Bekitzer is a Muktzeh. We paskin that a live mouse is Muktzeh. It's not a graf shirei. A dead mouse is a graf shirei.
What defines this? I mean, this is not subjective. You're saying, regardless of even if it's disgusting to you, it's not called disgusting, or vice versa.
Well, I think that the Medayik from the Gemara, that the Gemara seems to say it has to be dead to be called graf. So running around alive, or it's caught in the trap, it seems from the Gemara it's not called. I'm not sure why. I really don't. It's a good question what you're asking.
What about the Tauber factor that a Shabbos, if you like a mouse and stuff, you can take it off?
Well, it's true. Tauber l'chaim is a problem, but how are you going to take it off?
Those sticky ones, you can just take the tail off.
You can't take it off. You ever saw those? You can't take it off.
Okay, what about the ones that you just have lifted?
Maybe those ones that you lifted.
Take it outside and you lift.
Yeah. Well, that's the question. It's
That's the whole
Muktzeh.
point of it. It's Muktzeh, you can't take it out.
You can't take it out.
Because it's alive.
That's Muktzeh. It's Muktzeh. You could tell a guy to take it out if you're really worried about Tauber l'chaim, but you should be worried. As it says clearly for no reason. But let me what's more practical. Most practical is if one of the children pooped someplace, or that's a graf shirei, allowed to pick it up and clean it without a question. That's mainly. Or if you ate a lot of shells that gathered, it's disgusting, you'll pick up the shells. You're not allowed to make a graf shirei like a tchila. You're not allowed to sit down and say, I'm going to eat a lot of peanuts, it's going to be disgusting, and I'll move it away. You're not really supposed to do it. But if you did it, even though you're not supposed to do it, you're allowed to clean it up. That's why the Chroinim say that, now I'm going to say this is very important, this is not the Shomot Shulchan Aruch. One of the questions I noticed is time, as more clean we get, the new generation tells me the next generation, I've heard this from a lot of young ladies, they cannot tolerate dirty dishes out. Sounds familiar? I mean, I hear this a lot from young people. People tell me, my wife cannot tolerate sleeping, going to sleep, and having dirty dishes. One guy once told me, we have a full maid. Shabbos, my wife is the maid. She cannot she never washes dishes. But Friday night she washes the dishes. You cannot go to sleep just imagining there's dirty dishes in the home. So I said, for her, that's a graf shirei. I mean, she just can't take it. I've heard this since then from others. There's no, that's not Muktzeh. It's just not the Hilchon.
She's not a washer, or she just has to,
She claims that if it doesn't get washed, she can't tolerate it. The word graf means a pile of poop. That's what it means. That's what it really means. That's a little translation. But it comes meaning to say that anything that's disgusting, even though it's Muktzeh, you're allowed to move it. But it has to be where you are dwelling. The Shulchan Aruch talks about it's in the backyard. It's not someplace where you are. There is no heter. It's you. It's disgusting over here. So anything today, we are much more finicky. So if your wife is very disgusted by just having the dishes or dirt someplace, you're allowed to put it away. Even it should be muktzeh. Even real muktzeh. I don't have a good mashal, but real muktzeh. Washing dishes are
good. Rationale, a live mouse, if it's disgusting dirt today.
I don't know. That's a good question.
She's afraid. See, it's not disgusting. She won't define that as disgusting. She's afraid.
Mice are pretty disgusting.
What's the option for live mouses right here? You open the door, you're not gonna grab it. You're not
No, we're
gonna-
talking about if it's in a trap or something.
Open the trap, right.
Well, I had once a mice 3 years ago, and I have my wife and 2 daughters, and they shrieked. Why are you shrieking? Yeah. I ain't gonna help you shrieking. There's no reason with women when they shriek. You know, I mean, it's a mouse. Yeah. But, okay, that's, I don't have many.
That calmed them down.
No.
You have to go to Rav's and get the trap. Anyway, so the point is that I don't have many mishalom because Shulchan Aruch times there were a lot of mishalom. You know, unless you have a pet and the pet also pooped. You know, for whatever reason. Otherwise, I don't have a good mashal.
A dirty diaper would be a good
Pamper, right? Why could you throw out the pamper? It's not usable. The baby made and it's supposed to, and it's disgusting because it's a graf shareya. That's no reason you're allowed to throw out a pamper. Or nowadays, the training, how's it called? Training party is not muktzeh. Times of the Gemara, a night thing was muktzeh because it was disgusting. They used to make it out of cheres, out of, how you say cheres in English?
Ceramic.
No, clay. It's made from clay. In clay, it becomes very disgusting. Today, out the potty that you train your children, it's very clean. You know, it's clean. It's made out of.
Not when it was used. It's clean
Yeah,
after
but
it
no,
was
but
used.
it's clean. But when it's clean, it's clean. It's not disgusting. You know, it's not a disgusting object. Times of Shulchan Aruch was you couldn't make a bracha. Today, Shulchan Aruch says you could make, if it's clean, you can make a bracha in front of it. So it's not, today.
I mean, in a bathroom that's clean, you can make a problem.
Well, it's not a bathroom. It's just a potty. Now today, someone just asked me today, can he make a bracha in the, well, I'll tell you what, a lady asked me, can she say Tillim when she's preparing for the mikveh? She's waiting for the mikveh lady, and can she? Yeah, she's finished
Well,
already.
practical. If I need to, like a lot of people, I need to go wash all the heel
Yeah.
time for bread. So
You're allowed to wash in the bathroom, but the reason you should not make the bracha. Let me explain this quickly. The Gemara talks about a bathroom made by the Persians. The Gemara calls it. But Rashi says, what is the bathroom of the Persians? That the tsoya would roll away; it wouldn't stay there. Immediately it came out, it rolled away. Most poskim hold our bathrooms is that way. Our bathrooms are very clean. You ask the contractor, right? The most money goes into the kitchen and into the bathroom. Correct? Right? Everything is the bathroom. And I once went to the Hancock house when I first moved here. I'll never forget this. There was a Rosh Yeshiva there. I went to the meeting. And I'm in the middle of talking and learning. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I go in. There's no outside. Rosh Yeshiva. There's no bathroom. No, there's a bathroom. I go in. It's a nice room. There's books all over. In the corner, I found this beautiful chandelier, Hungarian chandelier, hanging in the bathroom too. I'm saying the truth is our bathrooms is very clean. But there's a din in Shulchan Aruch that it's a place that you treat. You shouldn't make a bracha. But you're allowed to wash in the bathroom. Allowed to wash in people ask me in the plane, you're supposed to wash in the plane, but don't make a bracha in the bathroom. Just go out and make a bracha outside the bathroom.
Like a mikveh, so what was the tell them?
So the mikveh, it's even better. It's beautiful today. It's
Even though there's a bathroom.
yeah, and it's really, especially the nuance and about it's hard to say it's usher. It's very difficult to say it's usher, but I didn't want to say it's mutter because there is such a concept in a room. I don't know if you know Hilchos, but there's a room by some tsui, the middle room where they get dressed. You used to have 3 rooms in the merchetz. So since people sometimes are not just dressed, you should avoid making brachas there. It's not a mechubadige place. Why do I think that you could? Our bathrooms are beautiful. It really is.
But the same tone has the same rule as...
Same bracha. Our bathrooms, believe it or not, is really, really beautiful.
So how can we cancel the Torah in
who says in our mikvahs, I'm not talking about the men's mikvah. Men's mikvah smells, but no, truthfully, because it's you. But at the ladies' mikvah, it doesn't smell at all.
Her shayla was
Just to say to them,
during the time where she's preparing, where she's covered,
well, she's covered. She's waiting.
cleaning her
Right.
nails, whatever.
Yes,
During that time, she should stay tillim.
right. That's it.
Some people have difficult challenges in life.
And Baruch Hashem, we're very
Oh, it's amazing.
It's not like it being a really good place. It's like what you said, like, it's not really, even though bathrooms are nice. You're inviting a guest to your house and sitting down in the bathroom, you go to the living room, no matter
You
how
know,
nice your bathroom
no,
is.
but you wouldn't invite them in the kitchen either. That's nothing to where you invite. You wouldn't invite them in the bedroom either.
But, I mean,
A second, a
bathroom
bathroom
is
is beautiful. It's clean. It smells good. Everyone has good fans. How does it called ventilation? It doesn't smell the bathroom nowadays.
But it's still
The-
not considered,
Why is it not? It's beautiful.
because no one's gonna congregate in the bathroom.
No one's going to congregate in the bedroom either. That doesn't prove anything.
Okay, how come you have to do that? Because that defines whether it's.
No.
The answer
No,
is,
no.
if it's established as a bathroom, then it's not.
But since it's a bathroom, it's not. You don't put a mezuzah there. That's my bottom
So
line.
you put a mezuzah.
The what?
On the middle room, you put a mezuzah.
Yeah, but I'm just saying you don't put a mezuzah in a bathroom still, because still it's made. Okay, let me just move on another halach over here, because we want to finish this muktzeh. Let's learn, because many people have pets, and I want to talk about this. Okay, Ein Ches.
That's sama hay.
2 weeks ago, I think we said that pets were,
Muktzeh.
no, but not dogs. You got a mucker from Krias Yamsuf.
That you're allowed to feed a dog, even though it's not your dog. But a dog is muktzeh. That means you can have a nice, beautiful pet, a dog, but it's muktzeh. You cannot pick it up. You could pat it, touch it, but you cannot. You can walk it with the leash, even though there's no eidav. You're allowed to do that, but you are not allowed to pick it up.
Why is
Are
it
you allowed no ears?
Why does what?
there's no ear, why is there no right to walk?
Because it's like you watch. It's called. Yeah, that's a famous Mishnah. Famous Mama from the Alter Rebbe, no? Famous Mama in the Alter Rebbe. What did you say?
The story was with the nigga.
Oh.
My submit on my baby.
Why is it that, what's the rationale for
The truth is, no one knows. 30 years ago, I did research for a few days and looked at all the Rishonim. They don't explain it. No one explains it. The pet is chlor, and the Kadmonim talk about it. People think that a pet is a 21st century. No, pets were all the time. I mentioned last week the Medrash. The Medrash says that Klal Yisrael, everyone had a dog too. The Mitzim were dying. The Medrash is very clear. The Mitzim were dying at the Yamsuf. The water spit them out, and they took the dogs and told them, "This is the guy who hurt me. Bite into him."
But, I mean, the thing is with a dog, back in the day, they used to do work with dogs, and with animals, you do work with animals, so is it sort of maybe the distance you from
No, dogs are not. It doesn't say that. No, it doesn't. I'm just saying. It seems to say that they had pets. It seems from Chazal they had a pet, a dog.
Could be that animals used to be used for work, and so they wanted to.
I don't think so. It's not mashma that way. The Medrash does say they had pets. They had pets. It's not a new phenomenon. The pets was a. Okay. So anyway, a dog is muktzeh. That's important, and you can't pet it. And it's what people ask me always: if the dog jumps into your lap, you have a small dog. So that's what do you say? Yeah, well,
You just don't carry it, right?
right. But a dog is muktzeh. Okay. So usal taltal. Let's learn inside. Usal taltal behema chayav. That's not fill off sherui letzachik by tinik keshaboich usal taltal. It's not made for that. It doesn't say it's not made. It says it's still muktzeh. Afa bekan mit the lekapos is a salif nafroirin sheyalav yediboy. They put a basket so the chicks should go up and down. So when the chick is on the basket, you cannot move the basket. There's a din in Shabbos. You're not allowed to mevatel keli me'echunoi. You know what that means? That you're not allowed to cause a keli not to be moved on Shabbos. We're going to have to learn another time about this. So the Gemara says you're allowed to put a basket in the chicks. When the chicks are there, you cannot move it. Since you could just fly them away, so it's not called bittul keli mechunei. I just want to say, someone listened to the tape. Just people listen. Someone called me up, and he asked me, and I said, I don't know where he took it from. Someone asked me that I wanted to just check. You're not allowed to cut toilet paper, even not on the line, a middle. And he tried to tell me he heard from a Chabad Rabbi differently. I didn't understand. It was a very good connection. It's no question.
No, but Shas
Shas Chai got to do with the shini. With the shini, you got to do
right,
it.
but they're saying, oh, this person said that.
He was told, sound like that you're allowed to cut toilet paper not on the lines. That's not true. That even, I'm just saying, according to the Rebbe, it's an Alter Rebbe, you're chayiv chatel shmeina.
Off the line is not considered a shidduch?
No,
Because
it's not called a shini. You're making a keli, so you got to cut it. You know, the first thing is you all have to have Shabbos toilet paper, tissues,
Every house has tissues.
tissues, finish,
The question is, if you have to make
wipes, whatever.
if you have to do a shinui, right? Should you cut it on the perforation?
It doesn't make a
Is it
difference.
better to cut perforation or not?
Is left hand considered a
No.
shidduch if you're writing?
No, not good enough. Not good. Because during the week I see, I'm a righty, I do things, I would cut paper with the left hand, that's not a shini.
It's not big enough.
It's not big. In writing is very difficult with the left hand. Certain things you could do with your left hand. You drive with your right hand all the time? No, I'm just saying. Certain things is not a shini, just not a shini. And I just want to reiterate this. There's no heter in the world to do this. Okay, let's just move on. Shekeli nit avlet tzorich do shenit v'apik sheb oitcha froichem ala sal. The chicks is on the basket. Usar taltel esasabne froiche shulapik ein kan bitle keli melchunoi. There's a concept. You're not allowed to mevatel a keli from what it's made for. The question that came up after the war: how can I make a tissue paper wet? Why is it not bitl keli melchunoi? The Gemara says I'm not allowed to make a towel wet. It's bitl keli melchunoi. So the question was, what about the tissue? So Moshe Feinstein, as a famous Jew, explains that it's a one-time usage. Since that's not a keli. It's made to bake wet and throw it away. Because otherwise you can't use a pamper Shabbos. It's made for that. There is no bitl keli melchunoi.
Maybe that's toilet paper.
Yeah, why is toilet paper not?
No, I'm saying there is no.
Before you use it, you make it into a keli.
That's separate. This is a bitl, and a bitl keli melchunoi is a drabbanan geisser. So once you create something, a paper, you're not allowed to. That's a drabbanan geisser. Bitl keli melchunoi has to be a real keli, something. Anyway, so fill you could blow it away. Now, I really want to say this about parents. I want to cover as much ground. If let's say the dog ran out, it doesn't want to come in. Anyone owns a dog here? Right? Sometimes they rebel and doesn't want to come in. He's a chavraman. It doesn't want. So you're allowed to grab it by the collar and drag him in, but you can't pick him up. So you're allowed to grab him by the collar and schlep him in. Okay. Not carry, schlep him in.
With the ear, you still can't pick it up because you're a dog.
You can't pick him up, it's muktzeh, but you're allowed to, if you grab it by the collar right, then he comes and he just follows you, right?
Even for the owner, it's muktzeh?
Yeah, but for the owner it's muktzeh, but you.
By a horse, you could grab it.
Why not?
You can?
What difference does it make?
Can't ride it.
Can't ride
Say
it.
that grabbing the animal and schlepping is not
It's
called
not
moving.
carrying.
It's not called carrying.
It's not carrying it.
You cannot pick up the dog. What do you have, a small one or a huge one?
I have 3. My wife's 3 small and like that.
Okay, the small one you could probably just pick up quickly, right? But a big one you can't pick it up. You're allowed to grab it by the leash and drag and make sure he walks. That you're allowed to do, Shabbos. But that's called. The Gemara says it's not called muktzeh. It's only to either just grab and make it go walk.
So if you're staying in someone's house that has a dog, it's your chayes now, that's considered your dog, right? When it comes, let's say, feeding. If you stay in someone's house, you can feed someone else's dog.
What does that have to do with
So
muktzeh?
you're saying if it's yours or not. I just wanna
Nothing to do with yours.
There's no halachas whether it's yours or not.
Nothing to do. It's you get
For feeding.
feeding is a separate issue. A dog is muktzeh no matter who's the owner.
You just confused about, we learned about feeding
That's
someone
something
else's
else.
pet, you can't do
Well, the dog is the only exceptional.
Yes, 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 yes.
Oh, that's something else. A dog is again a mixer. So you're allowed to drag the dog. You cannot pick it up. You can, now the Shiurim says they're not. I don't know how it works, but certain animals you bang it on the side, you grab it by the side. You shouldn't do that, but because you might pick it up. But schlepping it, you're allowed to do that. Okay, make sure the dog in a place where there's no native. You could walk the dog with the leash even without a native. I don't know.
By the collar though, that's like choking it, no?
You have to speak to dog owners. I see they do it all the time. I have a neighbor who's very much into animal rights, but he walks the dog. He says, "Did you have a schmooze with your dog? Do you think he likes to be walked with a leash?" I told him, "No, he likes it." How do you know? It's amazing how they come with the conclusions. So, anyways, now this pay aleph is very, very important. If you have small children, and I watch this happen all the time, pay aleph. Now, what do you say? Oh, you don't have a. So let me say what's going on over here. You're not allowed to. I want to explain something. When people say achai, the Mishnah, achai noise is atzma. You know what that means? It means that Mishnah says that you carry a person, you're not chayiv chatos and Shabbos, because the person carries himself also. Okay, that's now that's in the gay that you're not even in sederaisa, but there's a derabbanan to carry a person. So the child decides to put up a tantrum. I watch this all the time. He's 2 years old and he's not going. Anyone has 2-year-olds, you know how this goes. And
there's no Eidif.
And there's no Eidif. And you don't want to be samech on the Eidif. And he sits down on the street, and and is crying. And so there's no head to pick up the child just because the child is crying. You know what I mean? If it's dangerous, I once literally saw in the middle of Beverly Boulevard, because before the Eidif was put up, a child sat down in the middle of the street. And I told the father, pick him up. I said, I'll pick him up and carry him. He picked him up. It was a child who could walk, and it's only with the Rabbanim. They're in the middle of the street. You don't know what the guy's gonna. But if just because the child sat down, if there is no Eidif, you cannot pick him up and carry him. That's called even in a caramelis, even in an alley, which there's no Eidif l'moshe, which is a shvuz de shvuz. It's usher to do it.
But can't you carry him like do step like
No.
within Daled Amos?
We only do that if it's a huge tzorech. But you know where they used to do it? By a bris. They have to bring a child to a bris, they would be samech on this. There's no that dal puch and puch is dal amos, but not samech on that. You're not allowed to do that. So the kid said, if a baby decides, a 2-year-old decides to be a 2-year-old, you cannot pick up the child if there's no Eidif. I don't want to tell you yes to be samech Eidif. I don't know the politics of the Eidif here. But if if there is no Eidif, then you cannot, even if it's an economist, you cannot pick it up. But I do promise him a candy.
But if the kid is injured and crying?
Well, if the child is injured, just pick him up and give him a kiss. Sometimes the children are kshonim,
I heard someone that there is a head to carry kids.
You want to know the Alter Rebbe's words? I'll tell you what he says. People say that, he says. He says, Mamish, just what you just says. Pei Aleph, he says at the end. Remember, we go. Shom khanoy se atz lifte machar kapon usem levsaf im shishvis bekar mishu ze shiv zurich lahazel rabem shetoyim beze. You have to tell this to the public to make this mistake thinking you're not to carry a child. I remember once a guy who gives a shir, and his baby was carrying in our neighborhood. I told him it's Shabbos. I learned the Mishnah. I said it's B'drabban Masa. He had no idea. People they learn the Gemara what it says. So the Rav says even in a Carmelis.
1 second, but so it's a Rabbanan Isser, right?
But
also it's not a Rosh Hashanah anyhow, right?
Well, that we're not soymich on that. No, we're not soymich that it's not a shusarabah because even at Karmelis, one second. No, the shoes only by goyis mutter, not by you doing it. What do you say?
You didn't take out anything. The kid's walking away from the home.
Yeah, you want to pick him up and walk with him.
No, but if I have to get to my daf yomi shir, so then I have a tzarech mitzvah. So that would be a shvus to shvus.
What's the limits of the growth now? She's 2 years old, he's crying, he's not moving. What's the limit?
Nothing. At home when he puts up a tantrum, you're going to give him to your child's tantrum? No. We had to share when you have a baby, you just had a baby?
There's no Arabs, so you're not carrying.
I was saying, wait till he gets 2 years old and don't give in to his tantrums. First thing is, you got to be a father, is to be tough. What did you say? The what?
There's no Arabs, so you're not carrying the candies on you.
I think promise is
You think a 2-year-old that you're going to get it. That's one of the parenting mistakes that they always say people make. It says, you don't ever promise the future. You have to show them, you know.
Well, listen, if patience, you have to, every trick, there's no head to just to pick him up because you're frustrated. I watch people pick him up, they just get frustrated and pick him up.
But if the kid can't walk,
If you can't, then you're allowed to, what can you do? Or you get a guy, if not,
sit down with the kid and just.
and get a guy to take it.
Promise the guy the candy for later.
So Rabbi Tauber, emotionally with an adult. So if an adult sprains their ankle and another adult lifts them this move, or say up.
Yeah, that's a shvus to shvus maybe, that could be b'tzar godel is such a kula tzar. The child, 2-year-old just puts a. That's why I want to tell you something. If there is no erev, I tell this in my shul too. Don't take a 2-year-old to shul if there's no erev. Since there's an erev in our neighborhood, we never have this problem. I remember this used to be the problem all the time.
Because the wife needs to sleep.
Yeah, well, the shul should not be a babysitting. The shul should never be a babysitting place. But I'm just saying.
The kids program at the shul.
Then something else.
So when do we say
That not chaynos atzmin is not an isadaraisa. That's all. You're not chayv chatos. That's all it is.
Are you saying if a child cannot even walk on his own?
That's another thing. A child who cannot walk on his own, or a person who's sick, a person who's invalid, I say cannot walk, then carrying such a person is an isadaraisa. So a baby is very young. That's an isadaraisa to carry. Baby who cannot walk, carrying such a child in a shusarab is daraisa.
So this is just to differentiate between the
Yeah, that's except the.
No, but the wheelchair that was there before is different, right? On Shabbos, you have a guy that can't walk, he's in a wheelchair.
He could wheel himself.
Huh?
He could wheel himself.
If he can wheel himself, then you can wheel him also?
No,
What if you can't go himself?
then he can't go. They stay home.
Nobody's lahabdil, it sounds like
He could wheel himself.
No, if he's a 70-year-old guy that, he's not wheeling himself.
He can't wheel. Then you cannot wheel him.
So he can't go to shul shop.
Can't go to shul Shabbos.
In a place without an
With place without native. Or with goy. Or goy.
I'll call you.
Goy can do it?
Yeah, sure.
What about crutches in a place without an
Crutches is your shoes. You're allowed to go with crutches.
Why wouldn't that be a middle
Shoes?
enough?
What was it?
It's like your shoes right now.
It says shoes. Why mirach? Because a person who cannot walk, the person say even in a shisarabim, the minig was to be makel to have him push. It's an old question already, because otherwise he'll never get out of the house Shabbos. So, but a person again. So again, let me just quote this says. So you cannot carry a child, and the shisarabim or the shikarmelis. It's called the shvus. So if there's a native. If you're stuck, be samech on the erev. It happened to you such a thing? You're 2-year-old, you have a 2-year-old that acted up, didn't want to move? All 2-year-olds do it.
I was in the stroller, but I'm saying, I've seen it happen to other people.
Yeah, I've seen it happen and they don't. Just pick it up and be samech on the erev. I mean, don't.
The crutches, so cane is the same thing?
Cane, only if they cannot walk without the cane. Very often older people use a cane for security reasons, not you can't walk. That's one of the reasons I pushed for the erev in my neighborhood. It used to be older people walk with a cane, and there was no heter. They didn't use the cane; they needed just. And also many people that bring the 2-year-olds, and I've noticed it. And then says in Srs05, says in the Tshuva that if you make an Erev, you save people from a lot of carrying. That's what Srs05 says, you should make an Erev.
Is there any heter for an electric wheelchair?
The Eretz Yisrael, they just invented one. And the Frum are furious.
A normal one.
They made it with a grum of a grumma. That he blows, and that does one thing, and then another thing. And
A regular one that's using electricity.
well, you can't use electricity. But they have made one with a grumma grumma.
Like the Shabbos Institute or something like that.
Yeah.
In Beverlywood, it's very hilly. So I've seen guys, I think with a black hat, who does it with an electric wheelchair. No.
Could be Hazard, this Israeli new invention, came out about 3 years ago.
Rabbi, on that topic, there was a friend of
What's
mine.
it say? There's no Erev there?
There is.
There is. Okay, what?
Electricity stuff.
There's a friend of mine in New York. He has a friend of his who invented some patent. You turn the lights on and off on Shabbat because of a current that keeps on going. And when you flip the switch, it doesn't turn on and off right when you do it. It just when it catches. So depending on how you put the switch on and applied it to like a lot of different things. So he's going like from one rabbi to another to try to get it.
And no one's giving the skuma. And no one's giving the skuma.
No, he's getting it.
Yeah.
He's-
You know, they didn't. I was annoyed about this thing with the elevators and everything. They said it's not good. First they said it's good, but I asked the people, and that's so. The Rabbanim are afraid that you know, if we come with this grumma, you can be able to do everything Shabbos. You know, it's going to be a yes.
Is that why all these Rabbanim came out against the Starcade, Rabbi Heinemann's oven?
Yes, because it's a good api halacha. I looked into it.
It wasn't the underlying halacha.
No, they didn't write a reason. They just argue. They didn't. Because they were afraid if this is good and that's gonna, everything is
And
gonna
even
be.
publicly said, he said, hey, here's my rationale why it's mutter. No one
Yeah,
was,
no. They're just afraid.
Is there something wrong with coming up with these things?
What?
Is there something wrong with coming up with, promoting these stuff?
No, there is such a thing that is Shabbos, there's such a concept of the dechol, which means you're not allowed to exercise. Rashi learns the reason not to exercise, it's not Shabbosdik. What do you mean not Shabbosdik? Well, what does that mean? You know, because it should be different. You don't do these things. If you're going to be able to do everything, it's going to lose the whole time of Shabbos.
Similar to what he's saying about the current Shabbos clock, can you move the pin?
I tell people do. We start.
How is it you don't come to every class? Look, you know they're online at Chabad Just say make them up.
And so let me reiterate this.
The wheelchair is different than the telephone.
Yeah, I want to just reiterate this. That's why wheelchair do always makel, because you can't have a guy who just cannot move Shabbos. But let me just reiterate. So again, you cannot carry a child in a place where there's no Erev, and even in a Carmelis, it's a shus, and it's a mistake that Rav says that you should tell people, and they can't pick up. But if a child cannot walk, it's a deraisa. You know, baby. You know, and it's very interesting. I want to say interessante Zach, and the Rav says that the minig was that they used to take out the baby to the shul with a goy to make a bris. That was the minig. So that the Megavrum disagrees with the minig, but the Rav, Alter Rebbe Pasch is like the Taz. Why is it called the shus mukamit? To make the bris at home. Why is it so? He says a big chiddush, right? He holds, the Rav explains, that even though that's called the Rav Am, even though it's only one mitzvah being done, and the other people have no mitzvah, it is also called Rav Am. That's a famous chiddush. Normally Rav Am means that everyone are doing together the mitzvah. We all getting together with Kriyas Megillah. We're all getting together to say Baruch Hu. That a Rav is mechadish. There's a Rav Am. You are doing the mitzvah. We all coming to watch you do the mitzvah. There's also called Rav Am. It's a huge chiddush.
Second, a real thing to clarify. Let's have tefillah on Shabbos. In a place where there's no Erev, you're allowed to get a guy to push like either a baby carriage or a wheelchair.
No, I didn't say that. Let me tell you what happens. The Chabad people, now lately in my neighborhood, let me just tell you, my neighborhood, they started Semich on the Erev. Many of the Chabad people. But what happened was, in the beginning it didn't. And I remember one of the rabbis had a Sheva Bruchas. And the Chabad rabbis didn't want to ask him what to do. So I said to them, if you don't want to be samich a native, get a goy to the carriage. So he said, you're allowed to do it? I says, no, and outside the native, there's no heter, just because you want to be at the Sheva Bruchas and hire a babysitter. You know what I mean? It costs a few dollars, there's no, but when there's a native anyways, you could tell, you can't just tell a guy, wheel the baby if there is no native, just because I want to go socializing. That's not a good heter. People sometimes, that's one of the reasons I made dated. People will have the shiksa to wheel because I just want to socialize. That's not a heter. That's not called a tzorich.
Wheelchair, it's okay.
What?
With the wheelchair, it's okay.
About a person who sits in a wheelchair, the person says he cannot get any place. So they always will make a guy could push him all the
So
time.
it makes the laws easier because of the area?
Yeah, the truth
Even if
is,
somebody's not samech.
even Islam makes them a lot much easier, for sure. Because I want to explain to you, that something there doesn't mean, it's just the opposite. According to Shulchan Aruch, maybe one day I'll explain it. You could make an Erev. The Rav is one of the famous poskim and hold that you can make an Erev in a Muktzeh and a Shesarab. That means the fact which the Frumas scream, all know that the Rav, the Alter Rebbe held that you could make an Erev. He has another Chumrah which has a Bal Nefesh, that you should have every 10 amas. But that doesn't apply here, because here we have Oymid Meriba ala Poritz. I think I explained it. It means we have more. What? Yeah, let me explain this quickly, because this comes up all the time. First of all, the Alter Rebbe Shitta is you could make an Erev even in a place the Shisarabim. He holds we don't say Usarabat Mavatla Mechitzas. That means if I put up the strings, the R1 says that since Shisarabim passes through, it makes it nullified. It's worthless. The Rav says no, you could make an native, but he has another chumrah which he just says about nefesh that you should make it. You know how it works? It works this: so every 10 amas you should have another lechi. The Rambam shitta, another beam. You know how it goes? The string. You know how there it goes.
A beam, and then on top of the beam.
So that means every 10 amas you should have another lechi. It's called like this is a lechi, but it's going up. So every 10 amas you should have one like that. That's a huge chumrah, but it's very clear in the Rambam and the shit is when it's oimed meriba ala poritz. Oim means it's more built than breaches. Then you don't even need that. Now here the Erev is based on the freeways. Now if you live in LA, you know the freeways, there's a wall. If you go down La Cienega over here, you notice from La Cienega all the way to Fairfax, to Martel, it's a wall. Here to Fairfax, it doesn't breach.
There's no wall from here to there, right? There's a wall. There's not always a wall in the freeways.
It is. There is.
Sometimes there's a bridge, but it's still a wall.
It's a wall. Means I think from here to from Robertson.
No, it goes from here to Robertson and from here to Fairfax.
Yeah, you can from La Brea to by us it's from La Brea, Martel, and then from Martel all the way till to Fairfax. That means it's about 10 blocks. It's a wall. Then there's an opening, and 10 blocks another wall.
There's a lot more wall than opening.
Yeah, but there's a lot more wall than opening. It's blocks and blocks because this is earthquake place, so they made it this way. So there's more oimid. The freeways is more oimid. So once it's more oimid, you don't need every 10 amas. That's the. So I'm not.
According to the Alter Rebbe, you don't need to have a left.
Yeah, and that is also only a chumrah. That's a real
What
chumrah.
about on the fourth one when there is it's just a string?
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, the fourth one.
Once you have three tapri, no, that's okay.
Which freeway is it?
What?
Which is the fourth one that you stopped at?
It's the 101, 405, and the 10.
Yeah.
Yes,
But the fourth is just a string along Western.
Oh.
right.
So when you go back to what you said before about the carriage with the non-yid, the guy, just like the garbage, if there's something good in the garbage bag, right? You let it throw it out. So can the shiksa put something that she personally wants to transport in the carriage? There's like a pocket in the carriage. She wants to transport, I don't know, her lunch. She puts her lunch in it and then wheels it. Well, why would you want to go there?
I don't
That's
see.
where the
Wants
money's
to go with her lunch
at.
in your show.
What?
She wants to go with her lunch in your show.
She needs to be at your show regardless.
We have it's bizarre. There's six.
She's going to come to the show anyway to babysit. The kids there could walk also.
Anyways, there's a native here too.
Not talking about here. That's the dominant. People show have this issue anyway.
Handing your lunch.
I don't understand the distinction when you say by a person in a wheelchair
Even if it's a Rosh Hashanah, okay?
A goy.
That they were able to say why, because otherwise he can't go anywhere.
Yeah, so that's
With a baby in a carriage, you know, the baby also can't go anywhere.
baby cannot go. The baby's not interested in going. The baby's not interested in going. You are interested in going. That's the difference. You are, you know, you don't want to stay at home. Person is sitting in a wheelchair since he cannot move any place. It's called a tzoyre gudel meyoid. That's what it is.
Is there a difference between pushing and actually carrying?
Pushing your carriage is
Same as carrying.
same as carrying.
But if he could push himself, and you just happen to be helping him,
You know, shouldn't do that. He should push himself.
are you very stringent on that?
Oh yeah, no, no. Yeah, not if it's a native. As a native, it's a different story. You live? Where do you live?
I live in there.
You have to. Then you should use a guy. You know. Okay.
Do we use mountains as an Arab or no?
Yes, you can. You have to know the measurements. In San Diego, I made the Erev, and we were samich on the mountains, San Diego, and how's it called up north, Silicon Valley. What is it called? Palo Alto. Also, there was samich a part of a mountain.
There's some place they use the ocean also.
The ocean, you can't. Very difficult to use an ocean. We use the stream in Palo Alto. It's a stream. You can use the stream. Yes.
Stream, a mountain.
Yeah, it has to have the measurement. It has to drop. I don't know. I wrote written down the angle, but it has to drop. Like a cliff. Has to be. There's a certain angle of how much it's allowed to be. It happened to work out in Palo Alto. There's a natural stream, and they are very busy with conserving the natural habitat. So they make sure that the streams are clean, and there was something on the stream over there.
So the whole San Diego, the whole Palo Alto?
Not the big part, not the whole. No.
What about the islands or like Manhattan?
Manhattan has a fence around it because you don't.
So you could carry in Manhattan.
Well, they have to make a native. Depends.
So what if you have a Shishram within the air? There's way over 600,000. We said that.
Alter Rebbe says you can make a native. The Rav shit is. What do you say?
It wasn't so simple. It's a huge machlokes.
Yeah, the machlokes was he should be machmer, and now under the Shiurim holds that you can't make a native Shishram. That's what the machlokes was all about. So the Rav, and it's very funny. I'll say it on record. When the Chazon Ish says a kula, they don't want to know about him. When the Moshe says a chumrah, they don't want to know about him. You know, the Chazon Ish says very clearly, you can make a native. So the Chazon Ish. And I want to say the Chazon Ish, it's the Beis Ephraim. I don't know if you know who the Beis Ephraim is. Beis Ephraim was a Chassidish Gadol. Ephraim Zalmar Gulis is a Guan Olam. He was from the Gdol Ador in his times. And he was a Chayzim Ablin, a Talmud, and he also wrote you could make it. So it's the Beis Ephraim, the Orcha Shulchan, and the Achiezer. I mean, many. The Mishnah Buddha says about Nefesh. So people ask me about Nefesh. So I say, if you make Tikni Chatzos, then you're about Nefesh. You know, I mean, look, you don't have to carry, but you can impose it on your wife. You know what I mean? Just because you want to be a bal nefesh, you know, for us men, it's very easy. We could, you know, we're not stuck in the house, but the wives are stuck in the house. So.
Why for so long the United States was a problem? Most Rabbanim, for example, in Boston, they never put up an air until after the salvation passed away.
I can't, but because the Brisker have the Rambam Shitta. The Brisker don't follow the Shulchan Aruch. The Brisker follow the Rambam. It's finished. They don't have a Shulchan Aruch. So that's why.
If you live in a trailer park, if you live in a trailer park that has a fence around it.
But it has a good fence? Let's say it has a good fence, because very often the fence is not so good.
No. A fence that you can't get it. Like,
Yeah, but it goes to the floor?
barbed wire.
That's not good. That's not a good job, Bob. It has to have, it's a chain link fence. You know such a place?
Yeah, chain link fence, yeah.
If a chain link it goes to the floor, a chain link it's a good fence, it's 40 inches tall. According to the Chabad, maybe 33 inches tall, according to the Chaim Noah. All you need is to go to you have to rent the place. Is there a manager in the place? So you rent you give the manager $1, you rent it for a year, and if there's another is there Jewish people there? Only one Jewish person?
No,
And there doesn't need a native. You could carry around without anything. There's one Jewish person you
No,
can.
but that's if the Jew is there permanently. It's like a
No, he's there for the
campsite where
weekend.
people come for a
No.
weekend.
Doesn't make it. If there's only Jew and it's around the fence, you don't have to make it. You can carry the campsite.
What about hotels?
Hotels again. An hotel is depends. If you plan to eat there, so they just call me. They made a Shabbaton and they made the hotel. So I asked them. I said, "We're all eating from one shalom. Then you don't need a native. If all eat, they took out hotel this midwinter vacation. A bunch of couples in my neighborhood. So they called me up before Shabbos and they said, "We don't see any eating over here. We are 5 couples, I think, and we're eating all together." So I says, "You're eating from one shalom. You don't need a native."
But if you're not all eating together,
Then you need to make it even chatzeris.
One second, Rabbi Tauber, I just heard I lived in Hong Kong, and there, many Yidden came there, and the idea there was that since that the manager of the hotel has the right to move everyone out of the room, so you're like...
Is
oh,
that
you're like,
true?
okay, that's true. In any
Alright,
hotel, they can tell you, they have to give you an equal.
Yeah.
But that means that you're not going to follow a bus in that room. You have the right that.
Yeah, the Toysa says that cooler, but I thought that in America you can't do this.
You go to a hotel, they can tell you, you go out of
They're
the
illegal?
room.
Never
They have the right to.
Doesn't matter. The fact that they have the
Yeah, if
right
they have
to
the
do
right
it,
to do it, then you don't need a
means that
native.
you're not the ball of boss there, so
Therefore,
therefore everything belongs to everyone.
No. Therefore, you're not called kviya. Toysa says they're different. Therefore, it's not called kviyas. They have a right to move you around, then it's not called
But
kviyas.
there's certain things you have that's
Well, I'm sure there are people who are in these hotels who rent for a month and they want this pant and they can't move them.
right.
I'm sure there is those things.
They
If
also
you,
sell certain
I-
floors is sold and then certain.
yeah, I know that for a fact. I was at a hotel and someone was telling me that hotel many years ago. That upstairs lives this and this famous, the whole floor he lives there.
Yeah. I've heard of people just like living in hotels.
Second, but just going back to the vacation from the, over there where they're sharing a house. So what's the distinction as to whether they're all eating in one place or not?
What does an Eidav make? An Eidav makes that we all are eating one bread. It's the same bread. But if you're really eating the same bread, let's say you get when people go to running springs, right? All couples. So you all eat together, right? One bread, then you don't need any chatzeris, even though every couple has their own bungalow, their own whatever.
if everybody has food in there.
Well, even though they have nashta food, but the Shabbos meals they're eating together. Since the Shabbos meeting together means you are connected already to the food. The whole concept, let's say if everyone were eating by themselves, the whole Eidav makes that you pick up the bread and everyone becomes a partner and we're all eating one bread, symbolizing we're all eating one bread. Here we don't need to symbolize, we are eating one bread. That is the Eidav. This is the, no, the string has nothing to do with that. The string has to do, there's 2 things. String has to do, they fixed it. One of the Ingalat went, because the Besiaka went, and one of the Ingalat and the Koile said it's not good, I never was there. And they paid, whoever owns the Chabad said that he wanted to make sure the Besiaka comes. Who owns the running springs?
It's called by Chabad.
California.
Yeah, who owns it? Someone runs it, I forgot the name.
Rabbi Brod.
Yeah, Rabbi brought, right. So he got someone to come to make sure the Eidav was good, because it wasn't good. There was places, there were breaches. I never was there, I don't know how it looks. It's not so difficult to fix. So there's 2 things. It's got to be a wall around it, and if each family eats on the mushal, hey, we have a native. But they have to make it even chatzeros. That we all of us are partners in that bread there.
I cannot carry from my Rishus Hayachid to your Rishus Hayachid, min Rabban. So the Eidav Chatzeris makes our Rishus Hayachid one Rishus.
The one RCC, I think.
Do it once a year before Pesach, no?
Once a year you make a Pesach.
But if you want to carry,
If the hotel has opening, then you can't.
Tell has? Yeah, you can't carry. I mean, someone just, today we live in a new world. And was it you who emailed me Pesach?
Palm Springs.
You're the one in Palm. He also,
Palm Springs, I know where it is.
yeah. So he emailed me before Pesach. He went for a thing, and I forgot what I told you, but it was good. Today's a new world. A few people did it. I just remember a few people. The question is, can you carry there? An I welt. So I know if the wall was a good wall,
It's a gated community.
a gated community. So I never like the pasuk when people tell me on the phone, I'd never get the picture straight. So he said, you send me a bunch of pictures. So now I've helped. So you sent me pictures. Another person took a video. He sent me. Yeah. Zagi was in a different place. Was he in the same place? Different place. And he sent me a video. No, he just where the problems was.
But in the case of if you're not eating in, if everybody's in the same place, but it's outside of the hotel, does that make a difference or doesn't make a difference?
Yeah, if no one is eating, that's true. If no one is eating in the hotel, everyone is outside the hotel. It's also then you don't need any chutzeres. No. What?
Camping.
Now, people go camping Shabbos, and you have a major chilul Shabbos. Major. I had a guy who lived in my neighborhood, and his wife was a lieutenant in the Air Force, in the Israeli Air Force, or captain even, and he was an American soldier. They became Chabad made him from, but he was an American soldier. They met someplace for work, and then they became from together. Got married, so they used to go camping. And once someone told him to speak to me. I mean, there's no way you could go camping if you have to make a native, and you have to use the bathroom, and the bathroom is a problem. The lamp is a problem. I mean, after we finished, the guy says, "Never mind, we're going to go Muktzeh Shabbos camping." There's a lot of problems because you can't walk. You can't walk chutz Tchum. Tchum Shabbos is a problem, which they didn't even dawn upon them because so
If you're outside the Tchum,
you can't walk more than 2,000.
huh?
You can't walk more than 2,000. The part of camping, I'm not a camping, but part of camping is you're able to move around.
No, but like actually just enjoying nature is not, it's fine.
That's true, no, Shabbos, the people
Shabbos,
are
you
happy,
go there and
you're
you're
going on a
staying.
little hike, and
You don't-
that would be
You
problematic.
can go like in a mile radius, right? What's Tchum Shabbos?
I have no idea.
You just gotta be careful.
What do you say?
There's a lot. Here we are in Los Angeles. There's 1,000 places to camp within the city. I mean, in the
Yeah, but that's not fun. People go camping. That's
No, Bangor Canyon's awesome.
they go camping. They want to go make sure they might get beers might come.
No, that's UCLA. The crew is.
The more wild animals, the better.
But if it's a campsite, and there's a lot of people there, is that
No. I used to think that it's not a campsite. You go camping, you go, they pitch a tent in the middle of the mountain, and no one is there. That's something else. That's something else. The campsite, that's something else. But people go camping, they're not interested in campsites.
You're talking about someone backpacking.
Yes.
It's called backpacking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it once.
There's
Never
some
do it
people that
again.
like to take their children with them over weekends, to these campsites, and they.
No. Campsite is okay. Campsite is even, the guy told me the campsite is a mechitza around it. There was one of the places.
Right.
They're talking about going out, he calls it backpacking, going back and you pitch the tent, right? You pitch a tent, and you have a lamp, and you have a portable bathroom, and don't ask. It's not Shabbos, Dick. That's the
Yeah, that's good. Campground is fun. So, Rabbi Zain, so we're having a short camping trip?
So I want to, before I go on, we spoke to the rabbi today. If you want to learn, I was thinking driving here, if you want to learn about Bishul Akim, I don't know, everyone has a shiksa here, but this neighborhood doesn't. You do have a shiksa? Cholav Akim is also, there's nothing to talk about. I mean, what is it to learn?
But Kehila allows it in their stores, so I don't know what to say.
No, that's not Chol Hakan, that's Chol Stam.
Stam.
Choftan's a made-up name to overcome the guilt. It's the same thing, right?
It's not going to help you learning it. You're not going. It's also. The people make them. But you want to learn about do people have shiksas here? Yeah. So it's very important. Maybe we learn that. We learn a little bit of Bishul Akim, Pas Akim, and learn what is the halacha if you leave the house and you leave the shiksa with you in the house, or the wines. People don't have no idea. I just bought You know, I bought I used to have a cabinet, it was locked, it broke, so I bought a new lock for the cabinet. If you have wine that's not mavushal, that's open, not mavushal, then it's a good, the shiksa cleans the fridge. You don't know what happened. She moved it around. Maybe she picked it up and had a drink. So it's most wines are mavushal, but better wines, if you like, is not. I get better wines sometimes Purim, and it's not mavushal.
Only once it's open, you have a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, once you open, my father takes it right back down. You know, 2 pieces of tape.
The problem is, when I look at it, open the wine Friday night, I always tell myself I'm going to tape it down, and
Never do it.
and then I forget, and then I realize middle of the week, oh, give out.
So then it's trays after that.
Yeah.
Hey,
Unless you work.
Unless you lock it in a cabinet. That's what I used to do. The cabinet broke, but you just lock it in the cabinet. What do you say?
Hide it.
Well, it's not good. If Shiksa cleans the house, she knows where you hid it. Unfortunately, many people, the Shiksas know where the things is better than the Balabusta. You know what I mean?
But Tauber, limiting the Zedar, all Israel just called Stam.
Moshe Feinstein, that Hebrew rely upon, Moshe Feinstein's true about being able to drink, and the whole world that says it's okay to drink, because, but I don't think, so, can you discuss that?
All right, I could briefly explain this whole thing. Let me try to say this. You know, the Gemara says, it's a Mishnah. The Mishnah says, the Chazal said, you cannot buy milk from a goy. Why? The goyim would mix into the milk cholav tomei. They would mix in a non-kosher milk. Now, when the Chazal made Gzeira, they didn't care how much, how little. You can't drink from a goy milk. That's the reason. Now, I want to explain something. It's a very long sugya, but to make things a little bit short, the Svardim, which the Pri Chodosh, the Pri Toyer, and the Redbaz, the Svardim held if it's no Moshe Trace farms, there is no behemoth Tmeya there. In many of the farms, there's no horses, there's no donkeys, there's no nothing. It's cows. Today everything is like commercialized. You know, it used to be a farm, used to have everything. There are farms that have, you know, I noticed that, but most of these real big farms, all they have is cows. And it'll be crazy for him to get on all fours and milk a pig. And today, you know how it works? Today it's even better. The cow goes into a machine, and today there's a new thing an Israeli guy invented that with laser, it catches the udder, does everything. You don't need a Mexican to put the udder there, and you know, and what are you laughing? That's so wrong. It's all automated. So you can't, no one is going to go on all fours and what's in it. So now you have milk that, according to the Svardim, they could drink chol of stam. But the Srs05 in the Tshuva says, we Ashkenazim never accepted this. We Ashkenazim, he has a famous, the whole thing of the chol of stam is built on this Tshuva Srs05. Srs05 writes in the Tshuva that we Ashkenazim never were Soimach, and then Srs05 tries to explain 2 reasons. It's too complicated now, but we never were Soimach. So now, we were worried because the question is, Al Tzchumra? The Srs05 says not Al Tzchumra. We never Soimach because we held that the Gzeira was done, even a remote. When the Chazal asked it, they made it even a remote. So made it's according to Svardim, it's Meter, according to Ashkenaz Mosa. Now let me explain this a Gemara. The Gemara says like this: what happens? I go to a goy, I ask him, do me a favor, give me cow's milk, and he has in his barn a donkey also. And I'm going to wait outside, and I'm sitting, I'm not seeing the milking. But if I get up, I could see what he's doing. So the Gemara says that's called mirses. Mirses means he's afraid to do something wrong because he's going to look like a fool. I mean, I can't arrest him, you can't sue him, those good. It doesn't say I'm a steady customer. To me, I never was a customer. It just looks like a fool. You caught the how do you say name? Caught the gun of the cookie in the cooking jar. Caught a red hand. It doesn't have to be mirses that he's going to lose a $10,000 customer. Maybe I never was his customer. It looks terrible. It looks terrible. That's enough mirses. I wouldn't leave jewelry without mirses. You know what I mean? Let's be practical. I'm not going to say, I'm going to leave a few diamonds here and mirses. Everything has to relative. If For this, the guy is not going to make himself like a fool. Diamonds, he might just say, I don't know what happened. I didn't see it. But for this, he's not going to do it. So the Gemara says, so says the Moshe. So the Gemara says it's okay, even though I didn't see it. The Gemara says clearly that I don't have to see it. It's enough that the guy is mirsis. So the Moshe came and he explained.
When there's this concept of mirsis, then a cholov akum is okay.
Yes, I mean that means if you go to the guy, give me cow's milk, and I'm sitting outside and I don't see, since I could walk in any minute and I could get up, the Gemara says, to see what he's doing, his mirsis, it's okay. So the Moshe went and he says, today it's also mirsis. The guy's afraid of the government. And you do see how afraid they are, because, look what happened last year. I pay attention to this because in Kashas. There was a guy, the eggs in Iowa, whatever, salmonella breakup. That company lost just that season $200 million. That means they are paranoid, but still they were not clean. And for some reason, salmonella got into the system. And I think I especially looked up the news, and the Ralphs in Southern California banned using eggs from Iowa. So they just lost a huge customer. They are very afraid of this. I don't know what went wrong there. I didn't understand what went wrong with it. A goy is extremely afraid. So avada, there is no foul system. You know what I mean? There's no guarantee ever. So the Moshe held, since they're afraid of the government, that's good enough. That's good enough for listen. The Chassidim disagreed. Now, there are many tshuvas written, and none of them make sense, all due respect. It was very hard to argue with the Moshe's rayas. But there was one Ruv, the Hilchos Yaakov, his name, the Braish from Europe. What's his name? There's a big Rav in Europe. He's the only one addressed to the Moshe's, and he explains there's no ray mirsis from a yid to a goy. The Gemara is talking mirsis from a yid. And this is from a goy. He brings up as a chamtzi and another halacha or something. It's a shvacha doicha. Why the Chassid made such a fuss? Because I'm not sure. Because of Kabbalah it's that way, and the Satmar Rebbe held there's no mirses. The Satmar Rebbe says, we all know if you want to have the inspectors come to you, you know what to do. You know what I mean? My brother was in jewelry, and he says, the inspector came. And my brother just left $100. Then I said, I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. Came back, $100 was gone. He was gone. You can't say good night. I just said, excuse me. He put $100 down. I got to go to the bathroom. And he came in, he left, and came in. We know how to do it well. You know what I mean? Like not only South America is for sure that way. South America lives on this. Yeah, but here in America, it is dangerous sometimes.
You go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you don't have to go to the bathroom. He asks for the money and he puts the price.
Give him a check. You give him a check.
You don't have to give cash.
So that would be a rationale why it's not considered mirror.
That's Satmar argued that it's not a real miltzis. He said,
With all due respect, Satmar wasn't exactly the same position as Moshe. Moshe was placing.
Truth is, the Moshe was incredible big. There was no one in the generation could compare to the Moshe in Halacha. But it doesn't make a difference, but all the Chassidish disagree. Just because the Rambam is the Rambam, the other Hashem disagree, they held that it's not enough mirses. No one wrote a good tshuva. They held there's not a good mirses.
What's the reason
Sfardim had another kula. They held if there is no behemoth tameya, then it's not that have to know the farm. You have to know the farm.
I heard there's a new practice that's going on with the cows, that they puncture the cows.
That's a separate issue. That's a separate issue.
It causes them to trade, and then but they don't. That doesn't make the cow change.
Now let me explain something. What he says, they don't do it. This is amazing. You see how the Rebbeinu Shalom runs the world. 15 years ago, there was a modern Orthodox guy who became a veterinarian.
What?
A vet. So he goes to a Rav and he says, do you know that in the farms, I don't think it's a problem, but I just want to make sure what happens when a cow eats too much, it develops gas. If you don't release it, the cow is going to die. So what do? They puncture the stomach, pull out all the gas, and they put something there to heal it. Now, in your day in Hilchos Treifas, there's two opinions. If you know the stomach, if a hole has a stomach, it comes treif. There's a machloikis, if I heal it, we heal it manually if it takes away the treif. Now what happens? The milk of such an animal is not kosher milk. You know what the phenomenon was? It's frightening. The Chol of Yisrael milk was a real problem. The Chol of not Yisrael, the Moshe didn't have the problem. Why? The Chol of Yisrael used then a mom and pa small places. Small places patchke with this. You know, they patchke, you know, everything. The big farms, they don't patchke with this. It's a problem. They send it out to the slaughterhouse. They didn't patchke. It was a fact. A guy who works for Golden Flow, himself the owner, told me, I must tell you a funny thing. Our milk was a problem, all that. And the what's name, the stomach. What they did then, many people don't know, all New York milk now comes from one farm, the Chol of Yisrael.
Not to have this problem.
And not to have this problem, to make it. And it's the same, it's one of the most hilarious things. I had a guy guest, he says, I don't drink Lubavitcher milk or this. I told him, you know, it's the same farm, the same mashgiach. The same mashgiach. I spoke to the mashgiach. It's J&J, it's, I don't know what the, New York. No, I don't know what the Chabad, the name.
They closed down.
They have another one. They all use the same, all one. The same.
The cow, all of the Chol Yisrael cow for like the U.S.
Right now in the East Coast. Now here we have a different one. Here we have
So he's interesting. I read the truth very much, and he says that
But you know.
You shouldn't drink it. I'll tell you the best. He said regarding to yeshivas, he said yeshivas should spend. This is quotes, and I'll back this. He said that yeshivas should not spend money on svarah if it's a financial burden of Chol Yisrael milk. Rather spend the money on the milk than on the svarah.
Well, the Moshe held it's okay. The Moshe held that everyone made a tumul. You can't say it's okay and then say B'nai Torah should not allow to. It's either yeah or nein. You know, Yiddish to say it's either yes or no. But he held that since there was such a tumult, so it's a mukim to be machmer, so yeshiva should be machmer. He held it's okay, nothing to talk about. But it wasn't accepted by all the Chassidish Olim. It wasn't accepted. The Babich Rebbe was furious. The Babich Rebbe was very strong again, even though he gave the greatest respect to the Moshe himself.
But I don't know if this is correct or not, but I always, in Lubavitch, we were always taught not to drink the Kol Vav because of the more spiritual reasons, the Tamtam Elagamaya, things like that, not because of Iker Hadin.
There's no such a thing. If it's mutter, it's not the Tamtam Alev. There's no, it doesn't, you can't separate those things. If it's okay, it is not. If it's mutter, it's either yeah or the nine. There's no. Sfar, they will make there's no Kabbalah. They held if there is no behemoth tameya, it's not a problem. What do you say? Nothing. This is after the Rambam. This is the Pri Chodosh, the Pri Toyer, and the Ridbaz. Not to what? No.
Someone in the shul that began keeping Chol Yisrael, what happens to these five?
Well, the rabbi asked me, and St. Paul or whatever it's called. So they want to use CCTV. How's it called? Closed circuit TV. That's also good. The only problem is that Shulchan says you have to check to make sure that the keilah. So if there's a way to make that sure, then it's not a problem.
So the point is that if a yid is watching the camera,
then it's okay.
And the guy knows that.
Yes, the guy knows that, right?
Then it's really Chol Yisrael.
Yes.
But today the security cameras in every single plant. Why can't we be sending
What told you that there's no security in the farmers? Why should they have a security camp?
Oh, you're saying in the farm. I'm sorry. That's like once it gets.
No.
So if we go around installing cameras on the farm, is there a Jew might watch that camera?
No. It doesn't work out. It doesn't. It's you. You know how big these farms are?
Thousands upon thousands of cows.
This farm with all the Chol Yisrael on the East Coast, the Mashgiach happened to be here for a week, and I asked him, he's the same Mashgiach for every one of them, but just the tray, he wears such a hat and another hat.
Doesn't even change the hat.
Right. It's 3,000 cows.
This is the big one over there.
For all the Jews use 3,000 cows. So I said, how do you get around? in the winter with the Jeep, whatever it's called. Okay, so next week we'll learn Bishalakim, just a little bit. If you want to make copies, just the Machaber. Just Shiurim.